Hello there, lovely people. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with everybody on Hotel Nexus Wednesdays, which is what I'm unofficially going to call this, even though we're in the last few episodes. Because, hello, folks, you are here on Girls Run These Worlds watching Hotel Nexus and Afterlife Wandering Souls actual play here on Girls Run These Worlds with this fantastic cast of wonderful people I've been sharing space with for the past 5 weeks and actually beyond. And we are moving into episode 6/session 6 of this series, which, so that I don't forget it later, I'm going to state the title of this session is Anonymous Patron. So think about that for a second as we jump into a couple of different quick intros and such. But before I even get into that, quickly want to remind folks Afterlife Wandering Souls is a rather somber game in terms of its tone and content. Folks are playing people who have at one point died and been stalled from moving on to their respective beliefs regarding afterlife, hence the title of the series and game. So, because of that, there's a lot of themes about very messy and toxic relationships, about loss of loved ones, about ambitions and such that have not worked out in our favor, and about isolation and containment. We've talked ahead of time about various safety measures we wanted to take in place, including tools like XN and O to nix or move along with content during our game that happens in the moment that we don't want to engage with. But just a reminder to everyone, if you need to just stop watching and leave for whatever reason, we understand. You should never have to sacrifice your mental health just to enjoy a show. Though, for those of you who are sticking around, we appreciate you greatly, and any attention and love you can give to this really wonderful cast I am blessed to get to work with will mean the world to me. But so also I see Mirage is giving me much affection and appreciation in return. So with that, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Angela Lemos Morbejo. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm going to be facilitating this game, and I'm going to start calling on people to make this faster. So let's start with our enthusiastic Mirage. Introduce yourself, pronouns, and your character and pronouns. So yes, you start.
I made eye contact with the teacher.
Good shit.
Hi, I'm Alta Mirage. They, them. Dear God, forgot my pronouns. I am playing Ophir, who is he, they, and whose gender is sad twink.
It's a very common gender these days, remarkably. But a person who stands out as even more remarkable than the norm is our own fantastic decay.
Oh, hi, hello, that's me. Thank you. I'm DK, and today I'll be playing Quest Nightingale. Both of our pronouns are she, they.
Wonderful, wonderful. And the ever impressive and occasionally surprisingly strong and forward Gina.
Hi, I'm Gina. That's she, her, and I'm playing Antonia today, as I have been the past 5 weeks. Also she, her. I'm suddenly playing a new character, guys. Don't worry.
I promise I didn't kill any of you yet. Anyways. No, that's not a veiled threat. I promise you. It's not a veiled threat whatsoever. But nothing veiled about this fantastic being. They are forever and always my love, my sis, my wonderful producer, our wonderful producer for this show, Aida.
Hello, my name is Aida. My pronouns are she and her. I am playing Ren, whose pronouns are they, them, and they are they're not familiar with the river in Egypt. It's just all the Nile.
And ending on a good note, we're gonna move it on over to Diana. Diana, save me from this moment.
Hello, everybody. I go by Diana online. I use she, her pronouns. I am playing Captain Jimena, who uses she, they pronouns. And Jimena just wants to rest, I think. Just get away from this bullshit for a while.
Gotcha. Jimena wants to rest somewhere or on someone. Anyways. So, fantastic viewers, let's bring you back into this world. Our group of travelers, wanderers, has found themselves taking up residence in Hotel Nexus. It is a kind of interplanar nexus point between life and death, where souls who have found themselves arrested in their movement towards the afterlife that they seek, or perhaps that they feel that they deserve, have been able to take up residence and recover the memories that they have lost through the process, the rather traumatic process of dying. Our group has ventured forth into various limbos, smaller pocket planes, in order to relive memories and recover fragments of what they lost about their lives before this place, and perhaps even the details specific to why they died and how. Last session, we ended with a rather big reveal and them coming back to the hotel and finding it not just in the path for trying to get back home, or rather their home for now, but also while moving through the hotel that many guests had actually left, or rather been forced to check out early. Choosing in this moment, given his rather hurt appearance, Jean-Paul, the hotel manager, decided to take time and be direct with all of them, informing them of the situation of why Hotel Nexus is what it is, and that it is, in fact, a place created by stealing a fragment of the power of death itself, allowing those who take residence inside of it to hold on for a bit longer in the hopes of moving on peacefully, as opposed to being, I believe the term that was used a lot throughout this last session was being hunted and being forced to check out early by falling into despair and deciding that there would be no peace for them. Still grappling with those revelations and also their rather difficult attempt to get back home during the last limbo they visited, which may or may not have had a pair of Titan kaijus that were fighting with one another, and two of the party had to literally like jump over breaks in the earth in order to save everyone else, while the rest of the party was just going through traumatic memories. That is where we find ourselves now. Back in those moments after Jean-Paul has taken the time to leave the table, a rather fabulous spread of Filipino breakfast food has finished up, has been tucked into by many a people. But my dear, lovely travelers and wanderers through the hotel, welcome to session 6, Anonymous Patron. I ask you, as many other GMs have asked their tables before, what would you like to do now?
She said session the number 6, right?
Yes, 6.
Okay, it sounded a little different.
Listen.
I'm dead. Bye.
Listen. Somebody take the wheel. I don't care if it's the devil, if it's Mephistopheles, I don't care if it's God, I don't even care if it's Jesus. Just somebody take the wheel. Not me.
Okay, I heard that guy's pretty cool. I believe Ophir left the table relatively early because he was just like, this is all so stressful. I'm gonna go sit in the garden for a bit. Didn't actually vocalize that. Wow, Vocaloid. Don't look at me. Didn't vocalize that, but did just excuse himself to leave and go sit in the garden for a while. So that's where he is.
Before I follow up with that thread, does anyone else follow Ophir out?
I don't think so. I think they watch Ophir go and debate it in their head for a moment and then just like, no, they like their aloneness, it seems like. So
I don't think Ren is in a headspace to follow. Like Ren is like making conclusions, like going, oh no. So
I think Quest follows Ophir very temporarily in the sense that they have to go in the same direction to exit this room. But she is going to go up to the roof and wait for death.
It's very rarely that doesn't mean something horrendous. And this one, that makes perfect sense, but also, okay. I was not expecting that. Antonia.
I think she's going to generally be aiming to be the last person to leave the table.
Okay.
So
Alrighty, so let's pick up with Ophir and Quest in that case. I'm going to start with Ophir, and then I'm going to move it over to Quest. Ophir, you said you were going out to the gardens?
Indeed.
You see it in some sections, the gardens are a bit in a bit of disrepair. And it seems as though almost like some sort of storm or very unpleasant beast has just sort of crashed through different sections of these like high, like think like the maze garden kind of size, like walls and such at different places. So it's like from a ground view looking at it, it just looks like someone's carved through it. But if you were to get like an aerial shot, it looks like a claw has just raked its way through the entirety of it.
Hot.
I knew this table was like this when I picked them, and just remember this. But you are able to find. Are you looking to be alone, or are you just looking to what exactly do?
That's a fantastic question. I don't think he knows what he's looking for. Probably just looks at the damage initially, tries to find a decent place that doesn't look too damaged to try and draw, tries to do some sketches to, just cope with how miserable he feels about everything. I don't think he gets very far. Probably like solid 15 minutes of staring at 2 lines on a page before he's going to start wandering the garden and probably using his mirage craft to like try and fix up parts of it, because he's at this point realized actively that he has some control over something like this. He's made plants grow, and so he's going to try and see if he can help fix this.
It both feels like hours pass, and yet only a few minutes have actually gone by, and you do hear a voice nearby you. You don't have to stop if you don't want to. I hope I'm not intruding in your space by being here. And you look behind you and you see again, it's of the trio of individuals that you saw earlier. It's a silver-haired man. I'd probably put him at about 6 foot even. Long silver, almost gray hair, very beautiful, almost pristine face. It looks as though it's been carved like from marble in terms of no acne, no issue, no skin issues, just perfection. And has even while speaking, just the faintest tip of what looks like fangs. But you see seems to be in just a like white shirt that has a few buttons up top that are unbuttoned. You can tell he's very, very lithe, but very fit, probably closer to like a runner's physique more than like a bodybuilder. And long hair is down, basic pair of trousers, but has a somber expression similar to your own. But seemingly looks very non-confrontational. His body language suggests he is trying not to get in your way.
I don't mind. It's okay. I'm just. And he kind of like gestures vaguely, and some like vines just start to overgrow whatever he's gesturing at.
You look as though you have a gift of some sort.
I don't know about that. Just it's something I noticed I could do, so I thought I could help.
It's not what I was referring to, and sort of gestures towards the sketches that he was able to catch a glimpse of. You seem very talented.
Thank you. It's the only thing I can really do. Thank you.
You do it exceptionally. My mother was a painter. She often did landscapes, and but her favorite was to do birds at times. She used to travel the world in order to find different species, and even when she found something that I think no one else had discovered, she was very particular about making sure it not seem too familiar when she depicted it. She liked nature being undisturbed in a lot of ways.
That sounds really nice.
She was very kind and very sweet. I was quite taken. I was quite beside myself when she passed.
I'm really sorry about that.
I don't recall her name anymore, and there's a deep sadness with that. But amidst all of the sadness, there is good company, and I think I will find my purpose here. But perhaps I'm just musing. I brood every now and then, and I get lost.
I understand that. I hope you do find what you're looking for.
May I sit down next to you?
Of course.
Oh, my apologies. My manners leave me. My name is Adrian. It is good to meet you.
Good to meet you. I'm Ophir.
Sure. And however long you wish to stay out here, whatever passive interest you wish to entertain, Adrian does not leave your side. He seems to very much respect your space and just give you a chance to collect yourself. Though I will say there is an occasional look every now and then of, if you look just right, a slight blush in his cheeks whenever he looks at you. But other than that, he just seems to be extremely respectful.
I will say if Ophir does notice that the blush is returned, like, double. He's also a very pale guy, so it's just like
Noticeable.
red. But yeah.
I think however much time you wish Ophir passes, no further conversation unless you prompt it. But Adrian does leave you with a small card. It seems to depict a rather pristine blade along with a bat wing carved into the hilt of it. And he simply says, if you would like some company this evening, I would be more than happy to share space with you.
Red just takes the card quietly and gives a little nod. Stutters a little bit before saying, I think I would like that.
It is not an edict or a threat or anything of that sort. I just want to be very clear with you. You seem like you've been through difficult things, and I would not like to add to it.
I think you're right, but I appreciate it. I think I really like some time to take my mind off of things.
He does like a very respectful bow, and then he asks you directly whether it would be acceptable for him to just kiss like the top of your hand.
Once again, completely flustered, stutters for probably a solid 10 seconds before just holding his hand out in a yes.
It's very soft, and at first it's just only one, but there's a deftness with which he moves that seems like it's an unerring level of speed, and then there's just very soft kisses along the knuckles. Just very tender. There is a sense of longing, but immediately like catches himself and he apologizes for doing more than what he said he would. And then he steps back respectfully and he begins to move away.
I think Ophir probably just watches him and holds onto his hand, just thinking about how soft and gentle that was, and just the complete foreign feeling that was. I don't think he has the mental capacity to call after him right now. Is just going to let that stew for a bit. But I do have a question about the garden once he has left.
Yes.
Are there any statues?
There are occasional statues dotting the area, but as with much of the decor, there is a back and forth. There's an alternating pattern of anything that seems to be a statue directly touching the ground, so directly rising up from it, even just a small pedestal, seems to be something of a snake, and anything that's raised up a bit higher on a higher podium or pedestal is of a condor.
Okay.
This is a consistent motif across the entire hotel.
No humanoid statues?
No, there do not appear to be. This. If you look out, you can see whatever counts as quote unquote the horizon. You can see a beautiful, like, valley of mountains that sort of split over, and there is a small pattern of clouds that have emerged that are a deep gray, but there is no storm. There is no humidity. There is just, it is a gray that blankets the sky, but almost seems to act as just the background to this foreground of the valley, taking much more preference. It is as though nature in its most Terran form has decided to bless you with beauty.
Very nice. I think he's just gonna, after being completely flustered and having no idea what to do with himself, wander, find a nice place to sit again, and finally get back to actually sketching.
West, you wanted to
Yes.
go on the roof, correct?
I sure did.
What are you hoping to accomplish here, if I may ask? What are you waiting for?
Yesterday, Death approached me wearing the face of somebody whose name I can't remember, but who I know I loved very much. So I know that it was a lie. I'm looking for the truth. If Death wants to talk, I would rather that they tell me honestly than try and trick me into doing what they like. And I would like to think that after all these years, Death knows that if they want to find me, all they have to do is look up.
Okay, I can work with that. It's the gray of the clouds continues for a while, whereas Ophir is watching this and seeing the beauty of nature. For you, it is time passing. It is tranquil up here. It seems as though a couple of people maybe have set up some chairs here, possibly an employee or two when they're on break, just being like, I'm going to just chill and relax up here and just be cozy. But eventually you do see, damn it, our private chat has started making me laugh a little bit. You do see a moment where it's like you're looking at another chair nearby you and there's no one there, and then you look back and you see Cypress.
I wish you wouldn't do that.
Do what?
Wear a face that doesn't belong to you.
I don't really have my own face, if I'm being quite honest.
Do you have to wear the one that was most important to me, or do you have a different one that you can put on?
Well, I could put on any number of ones.
Would you mind?
Very well, you have asked respectfully, so I will at least entertain the notion. And you see your own visage look back at you.
Death looks good on me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't got all of the details correct. And you see parts of your clothes look like they've been through a blizzard. No, the you looking back at you. Sorry, not you. This is what happens when pronouns in English mean nothing. This is. Ugh.
So death has no chill. Death has chill.
Death has chill. In contrast to every other primordial concept that has existed since the beginning of time, death has chill. But you look, the visage looking back at you is entirely frostbitten. It was just covered in cold.
Without looking down, Quest kind of flexes her fingers a couple of times, like she's trying to warm them, and almost feels just that kind of sharp cutting breeze just for a moment, and moves closer and not further from herself, and says, "Are you trying to frighten me? Because you don't need to."
Fair enough. And you see Death take on the visage of someone else you don't understand, someone extremely burly and rather stocky fellow. If you would like, I can give you a name to refer to me if you don't want to refer to as Death.
Please, it just feels sort of rude referring to you by your title.
Why don't you call me Bruce?
Bruce, it's nice to meet you officially.
Mm.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for the others, obviously. We're still getting to know each other, but I know how I died. And I know that I made a choice. So why are you following me? Us?
Entertainment. The hopes of snatching the soul out from proximity to hope. Haven't you ever heard of seasoning your food?
Beer does make the meat taste better, I hear.
You've heard poorly.
You don't seem to think so.
It's proving less fun than I thought it would.
Have you ever... Look, I don't want to tell you how to do your job. Certainly, I'm not qualified for the position and I'm not looking to inherit it, but do you ever think that maybe hunting people from the shadows and putting them to sleep forever is maybe why people are afraid of you, and that maybe they don't have to be?
I've never seen the point of respect. Or at least the kind of affectionate bonds that most humans are particularly interested in.
Do I look afraid of you?
No.
What do you want? I would like to use understand.
Okay, I like this. Okay. I will say you all did rest, so your pools are filled up. So if you did want to try and use some of your points to try and get some on this, I'm going to say this is an enigmatic, like, mercurial entity who very difficult to get a good read on. So why don't... Yeah. I'm going to say this is a difficulty 4 check.
Yes.
Now, as a reminder, if you have a trick that you believe will be helpful here to lower the challenge, If you want to
I
try and use your
do.
approach to try and get a +1 to your die, or use a talent to +1, or if you have a Curioso where I will add an additional effect to what you get.
I would like to use my talent and see into the timeline of life and death.
Wait, what was the talent you're using?
My talent is that I can see into the timeline of life and death.
I like this. Oh, I love it when players do stuff like this. So you get an extra die because you're using a talent.
It's like a wildly specific talent.
You know
I was
what?
worried it was never going to come up.
Oh, no. Look, I don't care if someone has a niche ability. I will find a way to get it to work if they really want to use it. But yeah.
That is only 3.
All right. There is something. I'll tell you this. Here, because you got so close, you didn't get it, so there's nothing to be gained from that. It is a failure. But I will give you this. So 1, American XP, because things will not work out the way that you wanted. You have this sense, you can't read Death's face entirely, but you do notice this almost like a tick of them looking over towards another chair and then being almost kind of annoyed by something there. You don't see it, but something about the way Death, or Bruce, I should say, is looking at that chair suggests annoyance, that they're trying very hard to not read on their face. You don't know, you don't get any other intentions about why they're doing anything that they are doing, but I will give you that.
Realizing that this is a cosmic being who she probably cannot wrap her mind around, I think she accepts that, but does kind of clock the look and says, "So you do want something, or don't want something?"
Of course I do.
You're as interesting as I hoped you would be. I didn't actually get to talk to you last time.
Well, it's a pleasure to have someone give me the time of day. Most people just flee. Or I take the visage of someone they cared about, and you see a very beautiful woman of some kind, likely attired in some kind of like pirate leaning outfit. You know, people proclaim their love to those people they make bonds with. They promise them things that they cannot guarantee, and then they die. Works out so poorly for them, doesn't it?
Being human usually does.
Fair point.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I do appreciate the conversation. I would just like to, I guess, reiterate my request that if we do speak again, even if it's not this face, it's not the other one. That might be why people are fleeing.
You know what's always remarkable to me about mortals is that you all have the audacity to always demand something from someone far stronger than yourselves.
How else would we have gotten this far?
Fair play, fair. And then there's a look over to the other chair. This one is very noticeable. Why are you here?
I'm sorry?
How are you here? Like, you see them like looking over and they're like, I have other matters to attend to. It seems as though someone does not want me here. As you were, Quest Nightingale.
Bruce?
Cypress works just the same.
No, it doesn't.
It does for me.
I'm sure that's true.
And you see them just sort of walk away, like doing a very loud, like whistle as they're leaving and just enjoying themselves. And there's like, as just the faintest end of sunlight peeks through the clouds, you just see the shadow that they cast is a very hulking wolf like one as they leave.
I think that having maybe not achieved her purpose, but unmuddied the waters for herself a little bit, I think. Quest is going to climb back down instead of taking the stairs. Just for old time's sake.
I am so in love with her.
Thank you for the patience. My had to make sure that my captions were behaving because they are acting in much the same way that a very fussy cat does, and that they go "Nyeh." Or possibly a possum. I think a possum is much more accurate because there's more screaming, which is more likely to cause blips. So, screaming technology possums aside, Quest, the evening proceeds without more incident. Though I will say, as you climb down, you do notice what looks to be like a raven looking at you, like sort of perched on one of the little like monuments hanging off the side of the hotel, and just sort of it squawks for a second, but it sort of like looks at you curiously.
Quest kind of pauses in reaching for the next handhold and just sort of nods slowly and reaches for that next handhold and continues to move down.
The raven looks at you for but a second, and it's like a flash of you seeing yourself a few seconds later about to grab onto a hold that's not quite strong enough to keep you safe, and you're able to like navigate, and the raven just sort of like looks at you the whole time, just sort of like nods its head, and then just flies off.
Quest does call out, "Thank you," and then goes down double time to make sure that the crow's gone now. So if there's another loose foothold, she's screwed.
GTFO. Now, carrying back to Ren and Jimena. So, well, it's actually the three of our other party members. So, Antonia, Ren, and Jimena. So, Antonia, are you just hoping to just wait until everyone is gone before doing anything? I just want to make sure I'm sharing spotlight well.
Just waiting till everybody's gone.
Okay. So, Ren and Jimena, how are you dealing with this situation? While one of them is potentially being charmed by a rather tall silver-haired fellow of a supernatural bent, and the other one is meeting with a cosmic entity that has existed since the very beginning of time. What are you two doing?
I think Ren watches the people leave. Not everyone is leaving yet. Ren gets up and does like a bit of a dazed, glassy-eyed look almost at the realizations that they've recently concluded to. Just sort of gets up, pushes their chair back in, and goes to find like a radio, something that'll play music. And Ren is just gonna start dancing. That's Ren's intention.
Yeah. Okay. I think I know what's
Ren would like to find a radio or a device that plays music. If none is, Ren will make music, but
yeah, no, you hear, in contrast to what has typically been playing along throughout the halls at different moments, you hear some like it seems like an older like jazz tune, or someone just going, "I fall in love too easily. Oh, I fall in love too fast." I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast.
Ren takes off their jacket and goes into like the hallway where just goes into an empty space. Ren is not concerned whether other people see them. Takes off their jacket and holds it by the two shoulders and starts swaying to the music, holding the jacket up as if it's a partner. And I'd like to imagine that Ren is completely on rhythm. The steps, the footing, the placement of the limbs perfectly elongated, graceful, emotive. While the body is doing everything right, Ren is trying to connect emotion to it. And like there's like this frustration bubbling underneath as Ren knows that their steps are being executed perfectly. But it's not right. Just taking that jacket by the two shoulders, like their partner. Even pulling up one of the sleeves as if it's an arm of their partner. Just trying to find something.
Ren, I would like you to make a check for me. I will give you a difficulty 3. You may use whatever you feel is appropriate, though I'm inclined for you to pick something that represents your creativity and your dance best.
Ren is like going to try. What's that trope in anime? Is look with your heart's eye at the jacket, yeah. Like trying to exude like emotion towards the placeholder of the jacket. So I'm gonna try to charm. Check it. My dice here. This. 1 success. 2, 4 and up a success, right?
4 and up is a success.
Then
yes.
3 successes.
Exactly what you needed. Ren, I'm going to be upfront with you. Had you failed this, you would have gained a point of stagnation.
Boo.
Which is significant.
Yeah.
This is like the kind of thing where when you take a hit of this, it leads you closer and closer to just nihilism and oblivion. But you are trying so hard to remember this, and it's probably been frustrating just the past hours having it in your head and it not feeling right.
Yeah, like it's like we've all seen, maybe some of us has seen like Fred Astaire kind of dancing. But could you imagine if you knew Fred Astaire was hollow while doing that? It's like this is the kind of like feeling that Ren is going through.
Hurt.
Yes.
Start imagining that. I'm like, oh, this really hurts.
Imagine you can get that level of technicality, but there's nothing inside.
Ow. There's an emptiness to the space. You realize there are less people moving through it. You see, even at the corner of your eye, you see the weeping Susie and the Banshees makeup and aesthetic inspired individual who you had an evening with along with Inez. But you do not see Inez anymore. She appears to be gone. And while this place is empty and you feel like something creeping up into your soul, into your body, this sense of like, does it really matter? Are you going to be able to do this? You don't even remember their name. All of that noise, you realize starts getting drowned out by something else, because your steps, while they are not quote unquote heavy, the space is emptier, which means the sound echoes out much more. And it's as though the music and the movement that you make in time with it, with this partner, it clicks. And Ren, you remember your partner's face. You you remember a name. It doesn't stay very long, but there's a moment. There's a moment that you know it's there. You know more of things like this, of prodding at memory's edge. We'll bring it back. It is just, it is a drop of hope in an ocean of despair and anxiety. But it is enough.
Ren looks at the jacket they're holding out in front of it. Like has been trying to emote to this jacket. Looks down at the empty space underneath the jacket. And in his heart's eye, in his mind eye, sees like a pink pleated skirt. And sees that moving alongside. And that shimmering pink pleated many layered skirt is what is following them in that dance. And just for a second there's that grasp. It's like they liked dancing too. They liked my dance. It'll come back. It'll come back. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Twirling up and down the hallway.
I think that's a good spot for Ren to have their space. You remember the name for about a moment and you remember what they look like. I think that's enough for now. Jimena, what are you doing in the middle? What are you doing while this is happening? So let's see. We have Cosmic Entity Talk, remembering a partner, and a proposition. That's how I'll refer to Ophir's situation as a proposition. So Jimena.
I think they're like observing everybody. They observed who left and and all that. Looks towards Antonia, but doesn't say anything. And they're frustrated. They're frustrated with what happened in the break, was what they learned about what's going on here and everything. And yeah, I think they just get up, like give a nod to Antonia, and I think they just wander. They don't. At first, they had an idea of like, oh, maybe going to swim in the pool, but then they just don't end up at the pool. They just wander the halls, but they don't want to go back to their room. That's more than likely going to be empty anyways. And yeah.
Back to your room, you said.
No, they're avoiding.
They're avoiding going back to
Yeah.
to their room. Where do you go instead?
They just wander. They just wander the halls. They don't necessarily avoid the basement, but that's not their goal either. They're just like wherever, like, I find myself, that's where I find myself. If I find a dead end, I turn around and.
Jimena, roll a d6 for me, would you?
I got a 5.
Okay. You wander, you carry on as only a sailor who has known wanderlust their entire life does, and you find yourself going down some stairs at one point. And you see that as you reach going down some of these stairs, there's a door that my best reference point is for anyone who ever played Silent Hill 4 The Room, where the apartment room that you have that is sort of the center of pain and a nexus point itself for traveling through the game. There's like 15 different like chains and deadbolt locks and like an actual like heavy duty lock outside of it. It's just all just barred across this thing. And it looks as though some of the chains on the outside of this have been snapped in half. You are outside of what you presume is the basement.
And it doesn't look like there's been any like crappy repairing of like trying to like rebolt it or anything. It's still
There is blood on the floor.
Wet or dry?
Wet.
I think Jimena crouches down for a second towards like the blood and like just, huh, fascinating.
It
And
turns to water in your hands.
Fresh water or salt water?
Seawater.
Sorry?
Seawater.
Seawater, yeah. I think they take a deep breath, stand up. They have their arm, they always have their wrist crossbow on them. So they make sure, like, you know, like it's working, it's not jammed or anything. They don't, but they don't prep it so it doesn't like, you know, pop open or anything. They just like make sure and everything. And it's like, oh, fuck it. What else is there to do? They'll open the door.
My favorite kind of character who says, you know what? Fuck it. Let's see what happens. So you go to try and like undo all the locks and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. You find yourself suddenly, do you walk through the door? Let me start with that.
I open and see if it's like just like a dark room or like, and I don't open it wide, but it's not like a sneaky open. It's like partially and just like kind of like peer in a little bit. Just to see what sort of sense or feeling I get from just even opening this much.
You you open it and you see that there's someone extremely lovely looking back at you through the door. You hear her singing. She seems to be singing something in Spanish that is akin to a sea shanty. It's very tempting. It's almost seductive.
I hmm. I think yeah, I think they step forward, like curious. And knowing they know this is probably a trap and everything, but again, what else is there to do at this point? Everybody's in their separate ways.
Hello, beautiful. How are you?
They kind of nod and give a smile. I am here.
Well, it's good to see you.
And I don't recognize them inherently, right? Or is it
Something feels extremely familiar about her.
I apologize. My memories seem to be at sea.
Do you want me to make this a little more familiar for you?
I mean, you're lovely to look at.
Why don't I change the surroundings just a little bit? She raises her hand up, and you're back on your ship.
Before the attack?
Unclear. It is clear skies, calm ocean. There's a crew around you. It feels like you never left. What is leaving, by the way? Did you ever go somewhere?
That's true. I don't usually like to leave the ship if I can help it. Unless we're, of course, attacking another ship, but that's different. that's putting the plank and connecting to the other ship. So it's an extension of my ship. I think I like take a deep breath of like that salty sea air, the freshness of it, not the dankness that would be at, the docks and everything. And just feel a little bit more relaxed than probably I felt since whatever before was. I don't know.
Nice being out here, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know why we ever go back to land.
You know, I know there's spots where the ocean does stop eventually, but when we're out just sailing together, I never really feel like that. When I'm with you, it feels endless. It feels perfect.
It does. Everything about this, about you, it's what I've always wanted.
It feels perfect, doesn't it?
And I think they're nodding like yes, but there's like a gnawing feeling that there is something wrong, not necessarily with what's currently going on, but even like in memories of like scenes like this, like why Jimena was always not 100% satisfied with the way things were, kind of like not knowing that there was something else obtainable, or at least they thought obtainable. And so it's kind of here too, just a little bit more uh heavy feeling than before, where it was like, like that, like Moby Dick, like, oh, it's like, that thing that's obtainable, it's right there, it's taunting me. Now it's like a feeling of like, it's not taunting, it's like mourning.
You did reach it. And when you reached it, what did you get?
I Nothing good. It seems like.
Am I not worth it? Did you need more than me? Was I not worth the time? Was all of our adventuring together not worth
No,
anything to you?
it was just, we just, you were always worth it. It was for you, it was for everybody. I wanted it to last forever. I wanted it so that we just could keep on adventuring together. And what we found, I thought, would help that. What we found, I don't even, it was important. I thought it was destiny, me and you and the crew and that.
Did this does this now feel like destiny? And the scene changes before you in an instant. You are standing, riding, you are commanding a ship that is entirely sea logged. It's moving. It is like effectively a ghost ship. All the people that you see on there floated, waterlogged like corpses ambling around aimlessly. You look back at her. There were eyes there at one point, and while it is mostly skeletal, there is some semblance of flesh still clinging to the body, and just looks back. Does this feel like destiny to you?
And I think they look at them and it's not the despair on their face is not because of what they see, like the horror of it, like, but it's that it's the knowledge that they're not alive anymore. Like that person is not like alive, didn't survive. Um, and I think despite the body grossness of it, they still like reach out a hand to cut what would have been their cheek, you know. Um, I don't know.
I think they lean into you and whisper in your ear, why do you get another chance while the rest of us are damned? And you see them. It is a very swift movement. I will say this is going to come down to a check as to what the results of this will be. You sense, split second, she is pulling out a knife that is about to stab you right in the gut. What do you do in order to stop this? What are you going to use to try and beat this check?
Mm, I want to use withstand, um, in the sense that they're going to accept it. It's the whole if you've watched Our Flag Means Death, it's like, oh, you get stabbed on this side, you know, kind of thing.
Roll it. I like this. I like this reasoning. Now, question, are you doing anything? Are you using any sort of talent? Are you using your approach to like push her off or scare her off? Or are you using any other curiosity or what have you to help you? Because I will say, at least in regards to yours, I did recall you have your little kitty friend who has been following you around.
Yeah.
While we have not mentioned them too often, you do have a little cat who has been keeping an eye on you. So you are welcome
Yeah.
if you think of something with them.
Yeah, I think let me double check.
Also, I want to specifically note the description in the book says fluffy white kitten who mildly enjoys your presence,
Yeah.
which I think is one of the best descriptions for a helpful resource I've ever read.
Uh, I mean, I do have the heart trick. I control hearts.
Ooh, I
So I think, yeah, I would use that in the sense that I look at them and it's again, I'm accepting this stab. Like I notice like the movement. I'm accepting this. I feel like I deserve it, but I look at them and it's not like trying to control what they do, but to control my belief that their memory of me of I still love you.
roll. Let's see what happens. Also, depending on how this goes, we might have to take a break solely for Ultra Mirage to recover from everything. Just with slowly watching Mirage lose their shit in the corner over there.
I unfortunately only got 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you roll one more d6 for me real quick and tell me what the result of that is?
4.
You pass with the additional d6
Oh.
because in the midst of this, while the knife digs in and you feel the wound, I'm going to say, regardless of you having rested, you are going to take some hit to vitality. Like it hurts. Like this feels like someone legitimately like stabbing you, but you hear what sounds like a bird call of some kind nearby. It sounds like a raven. And she looks up and like backs off. And she like just sort of goes away in a huff. And if you look back and you see that sort of literally on the crow's nest, looking up, there's a raven looking down, just sort of like cocks its head at you. And it just flies off. Someone, you get the sense, is looking out for you.
Do I still have the dagger in my?
No, it's gone. Like you
Ah.
look back, the ship is all gone. You are suddenly drenched to all hell, but you are outside of this door. Like the door was never unlocked.
Ah.
This whole process was just what being in the vicinity of the door was. Not even opening it. You didn't even get to open it. You just had the sensation and the memory of opening it, but you know it's not real.
John Paul. They just shake their head and if it wasn't for the fact that they have more respect for the staff than they do Sean Paul, they would start like, undressing, walking back to their room kind of thing, like leaving a trail. But they don't. They can't do anything about the trail of water, but they finally like start heading back to the room.
Meanwhile, all of that is happening back to Antonia, who is now no one is around. You are by yourself.
All right. I am actually going to find Jean Paul. He did say
Okay.
his office is open, so
You did. You did.
hold on, I'm just looking at the time.
Yeah, you got time. You got time. I've set aside this last bit for you specifically, Gina.
Okay.
I'm watching the time. Don't worry. I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
I am going to go see Jean Paul real quick. Just a small thing. Small thing.
Huh? You knock, it is. There's a door. If you go. Yes.
Hello. I just had a small question. I didn't want the others to ask when the others were around because I don't like to cause them any worry, you know?
Yes, yes. And again, you see he's once again adapted the same sort of formal like air he's had the entire time. But you can tell like as he's trying to put his hands like behind his back, there's like a twinge to him doing it, and he just like opens the door and lets you in. And you see that there are various apocrypha and such that are just dotting the room. It looks somewhere between a principal's office and like an odds and ends curio shop in terms of aesthetic. It looks like there's a set of scales there, one that has a heart and one that has a feather. It looks like there's a depiction of a figure of a very handsome gray-haired man, attired very similar to himself, just sort of like one side of the picture is him smiling, holding out, like welcoming into the hotel, and the other one is Jean Paul on the other side. The man is incredibly handsome. Has a little bit of a like roguish kind of element to his smile, like almost like he's daring. Like he almost always looks like he's daring people to like see what's going on with him. But the two of them look extremely happy, and you see that there is another smaller picture on Jean Paul's desk that has the two of them like looking at like holding each other's hands and looking deeply into one another's eyes, and you see on the ring finger for each of them there is a ring.
Okay. I'm gonna remember what that guy looks like. Just in case. What? I don't know. I just wanted to know. Do you have everything handled here? Like,
Which answer would you
honestly,
find more comforting?
truthful one. I'm not really looking for comfort here, just the reality of things.
Death continues to make efforts to come into the hotel. And I can only do so much, myself and the staff. And there is a feeling for me that it will come to a head at some point. But for now, I'm doing what I can to protect yourself, your group, and the remaining guests that are still safe here.
Not a very comforting answer, I guess, to others, but. And is there anything specific to be done, like pragmatically, other than checking out on time as soon as possible?
Mm. It is difficult to say. Most of the wards and locks for the basement.
I cannot hear anything you just said.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay, that was weird. I must have just been doing my intake thought noise and it didn't pick up. Most of the wards and locks that typically hold death back in place are still they're still intact. However, there is, from the ones that have been broken and the chains that have been undone, there is an element of influence from death that has begun to leak into the hotel. I am attempting to repair it as best that I can. But it is a difficult process.
It's not a very good long-term solution. You can't hold anything in a box forever.
No. I get the sense you would know what that feeling is like.
I would. One way or another, even if it's not an ideal way. You know what I mean?
Antonia, might I ask, what would you do in our situation were you in my position?
Well, I don't know. It's the sort of thing that I trust that you have an answer for, and I'm curious, what would you do in this situation?
It would require more people to find their memories faster, or it would require people to feel more at peace with what they have lost and be honest about the fact that they are letting go of what they have lost. For part of checking out, as I like to euphemistically refer to it as, checking out on time is being at peace with one's death. At times, forgetting is a way of denying that, but at times, forgetting is a way of letting go, of accepting that one can't always remember everything that was meaningful to them and simply carrying on. So it would come down to people would either need to remember faster or more. People would need to feel contentment with what they have lost and let it go. Or something much more obscenely powerful and robust would need to be done to hold back death, whether it be a complete overhaul of their abilities or a willingness of combined souls or a singular soul to hold them back, whatever the risk would be to their own well-being, perhaps even oblivion. But some of this is speculation, some of this is just entertaining ideas that I have from what I know from Isaac.
Well, I can't do anything about the last idea. We ever considered maybe this would all be a lot easier if everything was a little less opaque?
I have considered it. Regardless of what your pirate friend may think of me, I do not actually try to keep things hidden without a reason. And we have had incidents before where when we told people very quickly about their state, let's just say there were a lot of repairs that needed to be done around the hotel during those times.
Unfortunate. Oh. Thank you for your honesty on that. I think I'm just mostly concerned with getting, well, saying myself sounds pretty selfish, but I don't think I want to be around here when if things get really bad, you know? And I think you'd rather I not be around here. Just looking for ways to get the rest of us all shuffled through quickly as possible.
However selfish you may consider your intentions, the consequences are quite noble, even. To want others to find their salvation, their peace, their moving on.
Maybe I just think it's tidier for all of us if we got out of your hair before, you know.
I appreciate the concern. I did choose this path willingly, despite it being prompted by unfortunate circumstances. And I knew the risk.
I'll leave you to mull over the rest of the problem. I don't know if I have anything useful to offer on it, but thank you for the advice.
Of course.
Shall I shuffle off? Shuffle.
You do idle JRPG character walking animation going through the halls.
Exactly. That's exactly what I have in my head.
The awkward, like, you have to manually turn them around because they're like tank controls. Yeah, it's you see a third person view, and then Antonio has to do tank controls. Someone on the controller accidentally like they set it down somewhere, but they put it upside down, so it's pressing something. So we just see Antonia's walking animation get stuck in a corner.
It's the shoes. The shoes are bad. No traction.
Reset T-pose.
Oh my goodness.
Destructive T-pose. That was the most destructive T-pose that has ever had happen on a stream.
Yeah, I think she's just gonna go check out what at this point what everybody else is up to. See if nobody's gotten into trouble. Some of you are all behaving, right? In her mind, you're all behaving.
Quest always behaves.
Ren's just crying in a hallway, spinning in circles.
It's pretty Ren behavior, though.
For once, sad boy is the only one having a good time.
I also just read our chat. Antonia is a player character in the first Resident Evil. God damn it.
That's you know, now that they said it, basically that's somehow the vibe at this point.
That is, we went from morose existential tale to blocky 90s survival horror running animation, which
that's what it always comes back to for me.
I'm not giving you a transformation creature to fight or smooch. I know a couple of you would try. Okay, correction. Most of you would try. But so the evening carries on. Antonia, if you had just head back to your room, you find yourself mostly at peace. There's nothing there. There's no manifestation of something you've lost. There's no other guests who get in your way. It's just relatively quiet, aside from seeing Ren sobbing and but also happily dancing by themselves.
Just Ren.
Ren's
This is
there.
like a floor of wet water, like across the hallway as you approach your door too.
Yeah. Outside of Jimena's room, there's just like you swear at some point while you were walking, you heard the sound of like very wet clothes and shoes moving around.
Just hope we get mold, guys.
Quest, you end up back in your bed should you choose to just go there. And Ophir. Hi. What does your evening look like?
Well, I think he's actually going to go back to his room for a little bit, the shared room, to maybe get some fresh clothes and actually take a shower, because he didn't last time because he's scared of the bathroom. And he still is. Nothing's changed. It'll be the same routine as last time of standing at the door of the bathroom for 10 minutes before he finally musters the courage to go in there. But he's going to at least try and wash his hair. Yeah, at the very least wash his hair.
What is,
Don't give me that look.
if I may ask, what is Ophir's favorite smell?
I think probably lavender.
Or you? Lavender is my favorite scent. Or so. God, I have the taste of a sad boy. This is entirely unsurprising. You enter the bathroom and like shower, bath. What is the situation of bathing attempt?
Shower, no bath.
Yeah. You see that someone has installed uh the shower head itself. It has a little knob at the top of it that actually covers the shower head with a little like almost pad that depending on what you choose on it, it will add a scent to the water as it is going through and bathing. And you can also set it to it will apply nothing hypoallergenic, and it does not specifically have any common like allergens in it as well, but there is lavender. And should Ophir choose to do it, indulge. And there is no real reminder of what you witnessed before. There's only the calm of being in this space. Like Ophir has the definition of every time you've ever read in a book where you're like your muscles relax upon having a shower. This is that. The idea of it itself, this is the purest manifestation of that moment. Of like all of the tension is just whoosh.
Cool. Well, eventually he'll make his way out soaked and not miserable for once. And is Jimena there? Or are you still?
I'd say if you wanted to overlap in time, you could, like with Jimena coming back. And I leave it up to you, Diana, whether or not Jimena is coming back still waterlogged or this is post cleanup of said waterlogged status.
Well, I think Ophir would have noticed the mess.
Oh no, the mess is noticeable. You're not getting around that part.
No. I'm saying like if it was post cleanup and everything.
That's
so
true.
I think,
that's true.
So I think maybe Ophir's on the way out when Jimena comes in.
Okay.
There you go.
Cool. Comes out soaked with like hair pulled up and like in a nice little towel, looks at Jimena as she comes in, and it's just like, are you okay?
No, but what are we ever? Are you done with the bathroom?
All yours.
And they nod and just kind of like squish over. And if you, and they're courteous enough that they try not to touch you because you just got cleaned, you know. They don't close the door though. And they just like they're muttering in Spanish to themselves. You're pretty sure it's swear words and such.
Yeah,
and...
he definitely catches like maybe 3 of them, and it's just like, oh, that bad. He probably watches not to be a creep, but like just to make sure you're not like you're okay. And then once you start to like actually get ready to shower, he's going to be like, okay. Throws clothes on, and he's going to go and get some drinks for you because you always get drinks for him. And he's going to come back and wait until you're done and sit at that table with some tea for you and for himself.
Yeah, and I think it's a very perfunctory shower of just like getting warm again, getting cleaned off. Even if the wound is no longer there, they kind of like do like subconsciously like touch their side where the wound was and everything, and just feeling very achy, even if it's all in their head. And they come out. I guess they thought you left. So they come out just, again, still dripping because they didn't bother to grab a towel. And so they just come out fully naked into the room and to see you there. Like, oh.
Oh. Sorry.
And no, I thought it seemed like you were on your way out or something.
Red.
And they'll just like casually grab a towel and just dry off and essentially just get dressed, not bothered that,
Mm-hmm.
you're there. Are you planning to stay in? Are you going to wander?
He like glances up to make sure that you're dressed and then makes eye contact finally. I might go out to I might but
It's not the one that you were talking to with the other day, was it?
Mr. Moses? No.
Yeah.
No.
Good. I mean, you do whatever you want to do, but at least I don't have to worry too much. And I think they'll finally see like that there's 2 drinks there. It's like, and they're like thinking, I don't remember bringing drinks because since they're so used to it.
Uh-huh.
One of those for me?
Yeah. You always bring drinks. So I was worried.
Oh. Gracias. And they'll take the drink and give it a small sip and kind of like sit at the edge of their own bed.
He sips at his own tea, sitting at that little table, just watching.
Mm. And I think they're quiet for just like a moment as they're like taking a couple of sips and this GM, I swear.
Listen.
Oh, I'm listening.
Just a towel.
And they just kind of give you like they're trying to give you a comforting smile, but because their head's not in it, it might not come out as comforting as, or encouraging or whatever. Well, thank you again for the tea. While I might want to have Irished it up a bit, this does hit the spot.
I'm glad. Oh, sorry, I didn't think to grab any, but I think he's going to set his cup down and kind of push it further into the table, stand up, and meander a few steps closer and kind of just gesture to the side of her next to her on the bed and just be like, do you mind?
Go ahead.
He sits next to her and is just like, I know you're not okay, but is there anything that you want to talk about?
It's kind of hard to talk about things when you can't remember them well. It's mostly feelings and just debris on the waves.
Yeah.
You seem to be handling it okay. Don't know what your baseline is.
I'm not sure. I think I'm always. And he kind of just like stares off for a minute.
I mean, you're not lying on the floor, so I'll take that as an improvement.
Yeah.
Was not prepared for that level of honesty at that second.
he's just like, yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to distract myself, honestly, you know.
Hmm.
It's easy to get wrapped up in feelings of, is this all worth it, and not wanting to remember. And at this point, I think I just want, I don't know, I'm trying to grasp at the few nice things that I can remember and focus on that.
That is good to try to remember the good parts.
Do you remember anything nice?
I do. But a lot of it is tinged with not bad necessarily. Well, some of it bad, but not nice either. But it's good if you want to distract yourself in this place. I thought that was something I wanted to do. uh, and it is kind of like just flop down on the back on the bed. Like surprisingly, because they lived most of their lives on the ship with their with their mug, but the mug doesn't spill or anything when they flop back because they know how to like angle the
He washes
gravitational
kind of him,
force.
like he goes like, oh. He kind of like angles himself and half sits, like half crosses his legs to turn and face her a little bit more.
Mm.
Well, I'm sorry that going for a swim fully clothed didn't distract you enough.
Ah, I did jump in the deep end. I mean, I could use a better distraction than that, but the people here have not been, they've been strange. Oh, everybody's strange. I'm strange. I know this. I guess being dead, you lose some of your charm.
I don't think so. I think you're plenty charming.
And they kind of look at you with like a wry grin and they raise an eyebrow. Is that why you've been avoiding sleeping here?
Uh,
Am I too charming for you?
Face immediately red and just like, um, no, I, I mean, you are, but no, that's not, no, I just feel weird in a hotel. That's all.
I get that. This place isn't isn't as welcoming as they claimed to be, I think. And I think like they kind of forget that they're like horizontal and so they're like lift their mug up and they're like eh. And they kind of offer they pass their mug to you. Um
Mm-hmm.
and I well I know you have your person to see that's not Mr. Moses. But if you want distractions, you don't have to go so far.
Face red, just like has her cup and sips from it very slowly. Goes to set it on like a side table. I think that might be nice. If you don't mind me helping distract you as well.
They smile.
And I think he's going to start like inching closer, not necessarily crawling over her, because I mean, look at him. He's not a top, he's not a power bottom. But he is going to start crawling over and like start to drag his hand along her arm and down to where her hand is.
And yeah, I think she knows what she has an idea of what type he is. And like takes his hand, brings it up and does the very much like meaning to be very enticing, though it might come out more like romantic, but I'm just thinking like kind of like Zorro Puss in Boots style of like cockiness of like taking your hand and kissing the back of it.
Twice in one day, man.
And
if he weren't already dead, he'd die on the spot.
Right. Like, well, what doesn't help with just this. Nah, let me try to see how I'm gonna phrase this. Well, if we're going to distract each other, we're going to need less clothes.
And end scene.
Yes.
I think that is where
I mean, you're right.
You're right. However,
You're right.
So on that note, that is where we're going to take our break. As for no reason whatsoever, I will also remind the viewers, and for the benefit of Ophir and Mirage, Adrian is technically vampiric, so doesn't really need sleep and is willing to wait. But that is...
Oh, don't worry. He'll be coming back to Adrian. Don't worry.
He'll be coming back.
Coming.
On that.
My issue is like I keep thinking like autofilling Adrian Brody, so I'm just like it's not, but like it's just what my mind
so much
keeps
that it
doing.
was.
Like stop, I'm like
Look,
stop at
I'm
me.
not gonna say yes for Adrian Brody, but I'm also not gonna say that for Adrian Brody, because I don't normally like muscular men, but Adrian Brody, muscular and predators specifically, yeah, sure, I take a crack at that.
Also, he seems like he'd be sad in a field of flowers somewhere.
Also, I know he's played piano, and I'm a sucker for musician. Therefore, yes. Because
also, not rip Adrian. I am priming a fear for Adrian.
This is warm up. This is.
I feel like he needed to be warmed up for Jimena, though. Honestly.
Okay.
Take two later.
Anyways,
so we're going to be cutting the break, everybody. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. Try and run ads during this to keep them off the air for a bit. Remember to get some water if you are thirsty for whatever reason. And
always.
And also remember to take your meds. And if you haven't already, why not go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe there? Or if you haven't already subscribed here on the Twitch channel to Girls Run These Worlds, why don't you take a moment to do that? We would appreciate all the support you can give us. And we will be back with Team Pillow Princess and more of Hotel Nexus here in about 10 minutes. So see you, everybody. Hello there, lovely people. Welcome back to many hours of Pillow Princess with this group. In actuality, welcome back to Hotel Nexus, episode 6, Anonymous Patron here on Girls Run These Worlds. And as we are doing our Afterlife Wandering Souls actual play here with this fantastic group, we just ended on a scene of very genuinely, no silliness or anything aside, very sweet, comforting, like intimacy between two characters who it's been building a little bit between them, and it's been very sweet to see them have a moment of just being like, yeah, let's not deal with stuff for a bit. And so time passes. You all are able to rest in different understandings of that word, and you are able to get up whenever you would like. Depends who would like to start the roundup of everybody. Who would be that person?
Not Ophir. He's buried in titties right now. And he could die happy.
Fear Mirage.
I think we found our clip of the week.
Just this, I feel like that's just a gif of just like, how are you, like, do you feel real good today? Like, who feels like a special person today? Just clips Mirage just being like,
to be fair, I was doing the sign for same, so
but that also works.
Both of us. It was both of us.
Bueller, who's starting group collection? Because Ren, it looks like, is asleep. Is Antonia gonna have to go get people, or is Antonia asleep? Who is the?
Oh my god.
Quest is up, just against her own will. The sun is up, so she is also. So I think, just based on what Quest knows of the party, she'll probably go to Antonia's room first with like a hot cup of tea and knock on the door.
I think I still have your cup from the previous time. She's collecting mugs, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just make a tower of mugs, Antonia.
Listen, we're all neurodivergent here to some degree. Or pretty much, I think the entire team is neurodivergent to some degree. So whichever one of you would like to come forward with your respective tower of mugs and or cups that are at your desk that you have not moved for 2 weeks.
Absolutely not.
You're not allowed to know how many there are outside this camera frame.
Exactly.
I will be upfront about mine. I had 3 bowls here, 3 spoons, and then a sushi container on this side. None of you can judge me. I already judge myself.
Yeah, she'll just take it. Yeah. Like she's not sure what we're doing, so she's just gonna take it with her, drinking it in the hallway.
Yeah, Quest also seems kind of confused, like knows that in theory we should be doing something, but I'm not sure what, so we should probably all either do it together or figure it out together. So I think she just kind of follows Antonia down the hall and says, "Do you know where any of the others are?"
I would presume they're in their room.
I think I heard a lot of really whiny moans last night.
I don't know where else they'd be.
Let's start with Ren. Give everybody else some time to wake up.
I think if you knock on Ren's door, Ren will answer. It's like robe, like half on, like, oh, okay. I will join you shortly. Thank you for the wake up call. And if you look past Ren on their bed, you see a long pillow wearing the jacket from yesterday, and at the bottom is like a light I don't know, rose-colored towel at the bottom like a skirt.
Quest, just without saying anything, slowly slides her eyes to Antonia.
Yeah, it's the same. Like, it's like, did we say anything? No, we're not going to say anything.
No, definitely not.
No. Just like, okay, just take your time. We're not.
Yeah.
I will meet you
Really
at
not
the
time-taking.
food hall, or where are we convening?
Yeah,
Suppose
breakfast
we
sounds good.
Yeah.
My companions,
you know how to get
I
there.
will see you there.
We will march on down to Ophir and Jimenez's room.
Sorry, I'm still losing it about the pillow.
So, Ophir and Jimena. Who answers the door? Let's start with that.
I'm
You know,
presuming
the
since
tradition is for Jimena to be like, Ophir, get the door.
true. But considering what we mentioned towards the break, I feel like Ophir had a nice sandwich of going back and forth to Adrian and back, maybe.
You know what?
Oh, you have guests in there.
Okay, clarifying question. Did you bring Adrian back? Or did you
You know
stay
what?
with Adrian?
I feel like if we started talking about who he was going to visit, and maybe if there was interest, he maybe would have been like, I can just go and see if he wants to like join us.
Yeah. And I was like, sure.
Yes.
It's not Mr. Moses, so yeah, I haven't seen anybody else I don't like in this place other than Jean Paul, but Jean Paul already claimed, that
The
they're
bar is like that low. Like, not Mr. Moses. Right.
People are that desperate and the bar is that low.
Yeah. So yeah, Jimena would have been amenable to it.
So do you want Adrian to get the door?
Yes, actually, yes.
Yes.
You see Quest at I will say in a very nice nightgown and pajama pants, a very beautiful, gorgeous silver-haired man answers the door. Oh, good morning.
I was expecting someone else.
Oh, are you friends of Ophir and Jimena?
Are you a friend of Ophir and Jimena?
Oh, why yes. My name is Adrian. I'm an acquaintance of Ophir's.
Acquaintance. Good morning. It's nice to meet you.
It's an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Available to eat food?
Yes, they are available to eat something. I can go and check on them if you would like.
Please.
Of course.
As soon as he goes away, Quest fully just like whips around to Antonia and Ren.
She's actually like leaning into the door to like watch him. Ophir's not had a great history of acquaintances in this location. Just we're gonna be honest with it. It's like, yeah, I don't like do.
Well, I mean, I guess they're both in there, so Ophir's probably safe.
Probably.
God.
Watching.
Should we wait or
Put wait here.
Okay. All right.
Adrian comes back and you did notice in like very quickly, sometime in the midst of your nocturnal activities, he did seem to have popped away for a second because he is rather fast when he wants to be. Uh, and picked up a couple mugs of tea for the two of you, and just like, sweetness, handsome. It appears some of your companions are waiting outside for the two of you.
I imagine sweetness was to Ophir and handsome was to Jimena.
Nope. Reverse.
Damn. Mm-hmm.
I think probably Jimena's a little bit more awake than Ophir.
100%.
It's just is like glad did not need to get up yet though, and smiles up at Adrian and it's like, it's already morning. Shame.
Oh, we did have a rather busy
go,
night.
Right?
What was that, dear?
He just kind of like mutters a bit, like, and just buries his face into more titties, and then eventually is just like, we could just stay here, right?
If you would like, I can let your companions know that this might be more of a breakfast in bed situation.
Jimena does consider that, like, that would be nice. Or we can make this an encore later tonight.
I'm perfectly acceptable with that. I have to go meet with my friends anyways. So, it would probably be for the best for me to go and inform them that I'm doing just fine. Hector and Anna Maria do tend to worry about me. They've been very kind friends. And it would appear as though the two of you are quite blessed with companions as well.
They're really nice.
If you don't mind, Adrian, to let them know we'll be out in 5 minutes. We probably should shower.
Of course. Yes, of course. I can get my things and I will let them know that you'll be out soon enough.
And I think before like Adrian like moves away, they had taken the mug, and then they would have like kissed Adrian's knuckles like as a thanks, for everything.
He would in turn, as you do that, like pull you in, give a very soft kiss on the forehead for you, and then for Ophir, saying, "It was lovely spending time with you, handsome," and then just gives a kiss on each cheek for Ophir, and heads out, and he turns to the three other party members. Your friends will be out shortly. They simply need a little bit of time to get ready. We had a bit of a long evening.
I am very familiar with this, yes.
Oh, yes, I did hear from Inez that she had had some company as of late. I wish the three of you well, and very much has closed the door and is out of earshot of the other two. I hope you know that I don't mean anything ill or untoward towards either of your friends.
You like question Antonio just radiating suspicion.
You are both radiating judgmental best
like,
friend energy right now. They're like, who the fuck are you?
Okay. I've never seen you before. It's like, I've never seen you before.
You can
I
trust
don't know
me.
who you are. I don't think she even knows his name at this point. It's like you're just random dude. Okay.
Thank you.
I imagine she's like 5 flat.
He is exactly a foot taller than her.
Thank you for letting them know we were here.
Of course. Should Ophir ever need to get in touch with me for whatever reason, my name is, so that you know as well, my name is Adrian. It is a pleasure to meet all of you, and it's very good to know that Ophir has such good company, and such lovely company, I must say.
Very good company.
I bid you farewell. And then carries on. And again, same unerring speed and movement, but there's if you could imagine a fast vampire moving giddily, that's about the best description I've got for his movement back to his own room.
Cute.
I think during this, yeah, Jimena would have dragged Ophir into the shower and done like I think it's like the naval like shower where it's like 3 minutes you get everything done and out.
Mm-hmm.
Are together or
Yes, no, together. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
together.
gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Save
in a
time
fun,
and
sexy
water.
way because we don't have time for fun and
Yeah.
sexy, but it's like
3
I'm
minutes
imagining
is a
Jimenez
lot.
probably scrubbing him down,
Yeah.
them down.
I will say, if you do try and drag him into the shower, there's a point where he's just, like super groggy and like, yeah, okay. And then as soon as he sees like you're pulling him into the bathroom, he like immediately goes into fight or flight and just like pushes away and is just like,
Were you a cat in another life?
I don't think so. No. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I just figured we should shower quickly. I'll help you.
I'd rather go by myself. I'm sorry.
And
Nothing against you. I just
Jimena nods. You don't. I understand. I shouldn't have touched. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
How about you? They're like think about it. While I quickly shower, you pick out some clothes.
Sounds yeah. He's going to quickly step away and just start shuffling through clothes.
Yeah, and then Jimena will be quick, because she is mindful of the other three's time. Like, oh, okay, we don't want them waiting out in the hallway and for so long. And then we'll probably head out just to like open the door to let let them know we are still alive while Ophir gets ready.
I don't think he's going to shower. He took one yesterday. That's good enough.
Oh, like a tongue bath, like a cat.
Maybe he
like-
was a
I
cat
mean-
in another life.
Nope. And you're gonna keep that thought to yourself. Let
I
that
almost
one
spoke the
rest.
thought, and then luckily I didn't.
Yeah, I was right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
Diana and I, one brain cell, and that brain cell is currently on horny mode. Carrying on from this, party meets together in the dining hall. There is a different spread today, overseen by Judy. It looks as though this time around, there's plates of what appear to be plain rice, fried egg on top of that, fried potato rounds, and what appears to be some kind of flattened flank steak that's been pounded down and breaded and fried very nicely. It being served in several plates. It looks as though there's other large containers that have these sort of tenderized thin strips of beef that have been coated in breadcrumbs and served in a sauce of diced bell pepper, onion, carrot, tomato, garlic, cubed potatoes, and peas. And it looks as though there's a couple of other different types of soup. There's one that's filled with oxtail, has a savory, thick peanut sauce to it, and vegetables. Looks as though there's another chicken and rice porridge with broth, ginger, chives, saffron, and a bunch of other various kinds of breads and such. And then there's a very huge hulking sandwich that looks as though it's basically filled with a giant piece of chicken or pork cutlet, depending on what your preference for meat is. And it has this kind of almost like, it's not quite minty. I think the name of it is a papalo or something like that. I can't remember the exact like vegetable for it, but it's a very specific thing from Mexico. But there's Oaxacan cheese that's mixed into that, melted, cooked into that as well. It's a good spread. It's a lot of delicious food. There is significantly less people in the dining hall now, and you can tell that the staff look a bit more worried, but they're trying their best to like keep things refilled and keep the spirits up where possible.
I think kind of similar to like the first time we entered to eat, Jimena just stacks Ophir's plate with a bunch of food. This time not going for the spicy stuff, but it's like, okay, we worked out, like here. And then Jimena also is trying one of everything because she is hungry.
Eats every single piece.
It's very good, I will say. Silpancho does go down pretty well, and it's very hearty. Also, fried eggs, yolk spilling all over rice is never going to be a bad idea. The fool who tells you otherwise knows not what life is. But it is a nice spread. There are a few different people who are around. You do see Adrian with Hector and Ana Maria at another table in one corner. As if you're doing the nervous, like, hi.
Yeah, just like a gay little like.
You do see Ana Maria, the very beautiful, short-haired, darker-skinned individual, sort of give a little poke to Adrian, who is, again, dressed very resplendently. It almost seems like he has like a long cloak as well now. Or more, actually more like a cape, probably closer in description. But he does turn to look in your direction, Ophir, and he does seem to have a very, like, sheepish smile on his face. And
so they were both bottoms.
damn it. I will neither confirm nor deny these allegations. You can get nothing from me. But I will say, for you, if you're also, you happen to catch the gaze of, again, the familiar look of one Mr. Moses and one of the other tables, also staring very intently at you. Almost with a look of like, I'm impressed.
Just give a small little nod of acknowledgement, maybe a little smile, and then just going back to stuffing his face with food this time.
I would say solely for the benefit of the protective and or judgmental aunties in the group, both Antonia and Quest do notice that Adrian does happen to catch that look Moses gives to Ophir and has a look of like, this motherfucker on his face.
Everybody shares that look of like, bitch, except for Ophir, who's just like, oh.
Very, very low bar disliking Mr. Moses.
But yeah, you are able to eat to your heart's content. And time passes, unless you have anything in particular you would like to talk about.
I presume we get grilled.
Quest is shoveling food into her face. She got her normal pancakes and Ovaltine, but seeing how much emptier the dining room is, I think she actually got like a little bit of the actual spread and just is surrounded by plates. But she is staring hard and chewing like she's chewing concrete at Robert Moses. Just very pointedly, very placidly.
Just looking at who's here, does anybody look like they don't belong here? Like anybody new? Like brand new? Or like does not. I know I just said that I've never seen Adrian before, but we're gonna ignore that part. Like, does anybody look like they shouldn't be here?
No one too in particular. You do see there's a lot less people here, though. There are two guests who you haven't seen before, but don't seem particularly to stand out too much, other than one of them has a mark of a skull on her chest, and it looks like blood droplets are persistently falling down her arm, as though they were coming from bullet wounds. And another individual, basically think Helena Bonham Carter or any other main heroine that appears in a Tim Burton movie. That's the aesthetic of this woman. Just kind of sitting there in the corner. Just there's those two who are there. But you also actually, I will say the table that the Helena Bonham Carter stand-in character is there. There is another individual who has a very pristine black, almost kind of lacy dress that the crisscross shaped patterns look very odd at first, and then you realize they're actually meant to look like a variety of black feathers overlapping one another at different points. And she seems to be wearing a mask that think like a plague doctor's mask, but it is in the shape of a raven. And the skin that you can't see that is not being hidden by the dress is a deep black with white spots as though vitiligo is present
Hot.
throughout their body. You're welcome. Did you have another question, or did you just want to make the comment hot?
I just wanted to say hot.
Oh, okay. I have to make certain that I'm adding the correct amount of room for this. But yeah, Antonia, those are like the main people who kind of like stand out.
Yeah, okay, but they seem like they should be here.
For the most part, the raven masked woman seems even she seems a little bit more peculiar than usual. But she's about the only one who stands out.
Hmm. Okay, I'll take that information for later. Make sure she doesn't do anything like super weird. But like, you know, there is situation's kind of bad, so it's like make sure
Yes.
everybody's supposed to be here.
Yes. You will look out for the weird thing in the interplanar nexus point that is currently holding on to the souls of dead who
Yeah.
have long forgotten their existence.
Yeah, it's like if anything is like super unusual for like that level of weird, then I think we're looking for like unexpectedly weird.
Yeah, we're looking for contextually out of place as
Yeah.
opposed to generally weird, because this place
Yeah.
is dripping and weird.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The woman in the woman in the raven mask,
Mhm.
how far away is she in relation to us?
She's just a few tables away.
Is there a line of sight?
I
Like,
mean,
is she
are you
turned
looking
away?
for her?
Yeah, is she turned away, or is she turned so she can see our table?
She was turned to as though she was speaking to the Helena Bonham Carter stand-in. If you
Okay.
look in her direction, though, she will look towards you.
Quest has a feeling, but doesn't completely understand it. Can I roll to understand? Because I think I know who I'm looking at, but I don't know if Quest knows.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Roll for that, and I'll tell you what you tell me what you get.
Oh, you mean like who helped you out yesterday climbing down?
That's 4.
She doesn't seem to say anything towards you, but you watch as she like turns her head in your direction, and you
Quest,
watch as her head, she kind of cocks it to the side the exact same way the raven did yesterday.
her suspicions confirmed. Quest will just raise her glass of Ovaltine and kind of a toast as a sort of silent thanks. And that will, I think she's just... No. Quest is going to get up and go talk to her.
Okay. Quest gets up, goes over. Good morning, my dear.
Good morning. I'm sorry to interrupt your meal. I just wanted to thank you in person.
For what?
Yesterday.
I can honestly say I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, I imagine you wouldn't. I'm Quest, by the way.
My name is Zyla.
Lila.
Zyla.
Zyla.
Very common. Zyla. Zyla.
Pleasure to meet you. And she does turn to Helena Bonham Carter and sort of nods politely.
Oh, well, aren't you? Aren't you particularly fetching?
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
No, it's simply a matter of fact.
Facts can be kind.
Fair enough. But you do see Zyla, like, as you walk away, you just hear her say something. You sense her looking at you, and while she doesn't say anything, you hear in your head, "Find me in the Twilight Marsh."
Quest's stride breaks just for a moment as she receives the message, and she just continues straight forward after she's kind of processed the information and heads back to the table.
It's quite an interesting friend you have there.
It would appear that way. It's the first time I've met her, actually. Officially. I think she helped me yesterday.
It's always good to ascertain who our allies are, as we certainly have some glare towards Robert Moses complications in the mix.
If anybody, this is probably a silly question. Did anybody else see a crow or a raven yesterday?
When I got stabbed, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna circle back to that in a second. I think that's her.
Slow look at Ximena.
Circling back, where did you get stabbed, both physically and in location?
Like literally stabbed, or is this like
Technically, yes
just...
and no. I was at the basement. I found myself at the basement. I wasn't looking for the basement.
My goodness.
And stuff happened, and I got stabbed, and, well, I let myself get stabbed, and then the raven was in the crow's nest. I guess prevented more stabbing.
I think Ophir is just going to quietly slide his hand onto her, like, hand or arm, just like under the table, just to be like, holy shit, girl. But, you know, just give it a little squeeze and keep it there, but not say anything.
And this
Yeah,
happened.
and I think they like give a small appreciation to the squeeze, like acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
And this happened at the basement.
Yes,
Near the basement.
I had the door.
The door.
I thought I had gone in, but apparently you don't need to go in to experience, I think, in there.
And you saw something? A place? A person?
It was kind of almost as if we had gone into the gallery. Almost as if I was in that other space. I saw things from my past. And they kind of go like very solemn in expression, and their shoulders kind of slump a little bit, remembering that they failed not only their crew but the one that they loved. And I allowed myself, I guess, get punished.
Another little squeeze.
Then the raven showed up, and I think the one that stabbed me got annoyed. And I wasn't really paying attention too much. I was in a lot of pain, received pain.
So that's why I left so fast. First of all, Ximena, I'm sorry. And apparently our friend over there, her name's Zyla, didn't agree that you deserve to get punished, which I'm grateful for. I had a conversation yesterday with Bruce. Death.
Oh, my goodness.
They left very suddenly. They seemed perturbed and said something about someone not wanting them to be here. And a little bit after that, I saw the Raven. Death just
Ophir's
disappeared.
face, by the way, is drained of blood. Grip on Jimena is white-knuckled.
I think she's trying to buy us time.
Isn't there an old adage where a raven brings souls to where they must lie? By the
And
nature
can
of us
sometimes bring 'em
being
back.
here, we are here, but this is not our final destination.
There are two of them. So I
Well,
guess the
John
question,
Paul did mention that this Death was not happy with this place being here, with us not going directly to wherever.
I wonder if they're related.
I mean, I don't think there'd be many that Death would listen to, right?
Neither seems to fear the other, from what I can tell, just sort of almost rehearsed annoyance. Like they've been doing this for a while.
So, we have a perpetual complication in death stalking the premises, and we have, in the most idealistic sense, an ally, or at least someone agnostic to the idea of us simply vanishing into non-existence. What does that change for our approach getting there? To our destination, wherever that might be?
He wants to talk to me. I guess just
you.
not here.
Death.
No, Zyla.
Zyla, excuse me.
She asked me to meet her somewhere.
I mean, have a weapon on you just in case.
I mean, if she meant to harm, then I guess you would have. Yesterday would have been the time to do it.
They both had me dead bang, and neither one of them made any moves. So if they want something, I don't think it's me gone, at least not yet.
Curious. Maybe having a feather from this Zyla person can be a talisman of sorts.
I think you might be right. Hopefully the meeting goes well. And maybe she'll be able to give us a little more insight than John Paul.
One can only hope.
Would you like us to
Is
be
anyone-
around the corner?
Yeah, I think just nearby, just in case we don't know what we're dealing with. I mean, I went up because, for better or worse, I at least understand the concept of death. I don't fully understand what she is. Does anybody know where I can find
Seen
marshes?
John Paul? Marshes.
Marshes.
You're right, he's not in the
Outside,
dining
I would
room.
think. He didn't seem well yesterday. I think they look back at is I've heard, had a bit of a brain fart. Is the Raven lady still here, or did she leave?
After Quest mentions the like not really knowing like where is it, like you do see her like stand up and begin to walk out.
Yeah, I think Jimena looks in that direction and then it's like, what if she's here to replace Jean Paul? He didn't mention that he was supposed to get a replacement, and that person. And they kind of do like a bit of a nod, acknowledging like the significance of his partner is not able to do it.
Well, I guess there's really only one way to find out. Maybe it's in one of the portraits? I haven't seen any marshes outside.
So we must return to the gallery.
Maybe let's at least see what we can see if there is a painting that looks like it's right.
Ren
Doesn't hurt.
goes down to the plate, just finish shoveling in like the protein bits. Gonna need this.
Picking out just the protein.
See rounds of fried potato being chucked various places and just immediately grabbing the actual fried egg directly from everything.
Meanwhile, I'd be the one with the potatoes and the cheese, not carbs.
Carbs.
Between two of you, full, proper, and balanced meal.
Exactly.
Instead of magic carp, it's just magic carbs. Carbs. Does the party head to the gallery?
Yeah,
Better
and I
than
think
these.
when we get up, I will like take Ophir's hand and like give a reassuring kiss to like the inside of their wrist, like because I know that they're worried about me.
That will definitely get him to relax a little bit and probably come back down to earth because he's just been zoned the fuck out. I don't want to say straight up dissociating, but straight up dissociating for a little while. So he kind of just like blinks at that and relaxes his grip and is just like, what are we doing? Where are we? Oh, sorry.
We're gonna check the gallery. I don't think we're going into any paintings, but Quest has a date, and just like very cheekily is just saying it like that, and we're going to be their backup.
And he'll nod and just follow after.
I do have a compass that always points to the nearest mirage. I don't think this is super useful considering the gallery is just full of them.
I'm right here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But it's like, I have that. I don't expect it to be useful because my understanding is the gallery is just full of them. So it's just like, but I do have that in case that's useful. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say actually if you use it while you're going to the gallery, no, it starts moving, but like I will say for Antonia, having that, it's not just that these things are mirages, the nature of what the compass reveals to you and pointing towards it also confirms something that was kind of unstated, but is also worth noting directly. All of these places that you have been, all of them are dead.
Mm.
Like these are recreations of moments where people passed away. Every single one of them.
Keep that information to myself. Everybody seems really stressed. I don't think they need to know that directly.
What? Stressed? What are you?
I'm vibing. I have a date with a bird woman.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay.
I think it's appropriate that Antonia is the only one to know this information too, because it also kind of confirms more of what, like, building off the conversation you had with Jean-Paul, that like it is probably taking everyone at the hotel, like the staff's energy and efforts to even keep these worlds alive in the state that they are. But they are there for the purposes of stealing a fragment of death's power in order to let people remember. But as you enter the gallery now, there are fewer paintings that are held up in installations. There is still one where it looks as though there are people slowly disappearing into sand, just like their whole forms just trying to reach out, and just sand taking over all of them and almost like
That's
melting.
great. Love
That
it.
one's great. There's the realm of a pristine, like Gothic architecture inspired world held up high, seemingly under conflict with draconic entities. And there is a new painting that has not been there previously. It depicts a world that has a spiraling crystal tower within it, on the edge of what appears to be it is very much like a marshland where most of it is contained. The water that is being shown is contained, and then you see, looking outwards, a chaotic roiling sea that appears to it moves from very faint black hues to the hue of, like, well, I can never remember the name of that black that absorbs all. I think it's like Fanta. No, it's not. It's like Fanta black, where it's like no light can pierce it, but it's sea, like just waves of that coloration. But what you see depicted on in the portrait also seems to be like this little inlet of marshland that splits into two pools of water, of two little like marshland sections. And there is a figure, the raven attired woman, just walking along them. And in contrast to all of the other occasions on which you have been here, the woman in the painting actually looks out towards all of you. And she bows very respectfully and beckons for you to come in, should you choose to do so.
Water,
Okay.
why is it always water?
How curious that I believed we had voiced an apprehension or consideration of taking approaches other than the gallery. And now here is a hook that beckons us directly back into a painting in this gallery.
Quest kind of like tightens the straps on her backpack and then thinks better of it and pulls it off her shoulders and digs around in it. She's going to pull out one of her curiosa, which is a pearl. It's like a black saltwater pearl, and she's going to hand it to Ophir. And she says, I found this, and it seems to be water resistant, for lack of a better word. Just hang on to it in case things get rough.
Thank you. He clings onto it for dear life.
I don't mind going on my own. We've run into a whole lot of trouble the last few times we've went in. I wouldn't mind company, but I'm certainly not going to demand it. Not for this.
We ran into trouble and overcame it precisely because we were as a group.
When you're right, you're right.
I think Jimena hesitates not because of the painting itself. It's just that generally, as much as she dislikes Jean Paul, generally Jean Paul knew when we were heading into a painting and such. And it's like, maybe someone should stay out.
It's not a bad idea at all.
Yeah.
I'll
I have an
stay.
idea. I have an idea.
Just immediately, like,
Take me.
Idea.
I'll do it.
I will pull my other curiosa out, which is a sentient metal skull with a morose personality. I'll pull it out.
Hey, buds, how's it going? How y'all doing?
You're adorable.
Ah, well, thank you. I'm just ahead. But, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes that's enough to get you through a world.
If I leave you here, like on the floor somewhere, will you A, not go anywhere, I don't know if you have any means of locomotion. I don't.
I feel like that's a bit insulting to me considering I'm just a head and I can't really move anywhere. I could try and roll, but I feel like this would be a bit of a fruitless task.
I don't make assumptions of your capabilities. You seem very capable.
Oh, well,
Um,
thank you. You're the first one to ever say that to me. I love you with all of my eternal soul.
she's literally just like, what was I going to say? Uh, so A, don't go anywhere. B, if you see Jean Paul, tell him where we went. Would that be possible?
Yes, I would be more than willing to do this for you, my benevolent overlord for whom has kept me in your pocket this entire time and has not even acknowledged my existence. And despite the way in which I'm speaking to you now, I would like it to be very clear that I am not being facetious, rude, or anything, or judgmental of any kind. This is just the way, unfortunately, that I sound.
You're
I was
just a New
given
Yorker, that's all.
Yeah.
it's less I was become a New Yorker, and it's more that I was allowed to have some form of semblance of sentience by nature of just latching on to the nearest media entity that I was able to remember during my time. And I remember a dude by the name of Beetlejuice. So that was kind of the voice that I ended up being stuck with.
Antonia's really thinking, she's like, I feel like this is why she has just not acknowledged him whatsoever. Like, it's like, this is
What?
supposed to take 2
Do you not
seconds.
find me endearing?
She doesn't say that. She like thinks it's like, this is becoming a lot longer than it should have been.
More and more, Antonia has become I mean, she was interesting to start with, but more interesting to Jimena. Like, oh, she has a spine. Oh, she has a skull. You know?
Like, okay, she's not gonna put him directly on the floor because that seems like a tripping hazard and unpleasant for him and everybody involved. Um, I guess since it's kind of a gallery, is there like a pedestal for like an empty pedestal somewhere?
Yes, you could set me on a pedestal. I will be revered and treated as a work of art because people don't know what art is. They can't appreciate it, they can't understand it, and they don't even want to put in the effort to celebrate all the people who go into it. Support your local writers' unions and strikes, by the way, SAG after. Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if I leave you, you can. If anybody who's not Jean Paul, I'm sure you could regale them with your opinions on art.
Ah, yes, I have opinions regarding the nature of existence and life and having been here since the very founding of the universe.
Okay, she's gonna set him nice and
Okay.
comfortable looking. Like, okay,
It's like,
Okay.
hey, bro, sure.
sure.
Good for you.
Like, I think he
Sorry.
said like 4 times more words than she has at this point.
Does the party choose to go into the portrait?
Ren will go in.
Gotta stick together.
Fear really does not look like he wants to, but is just clinging onto Jimena and is just like, if it's to help West, then it's fine. Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, let's go. Okay.
I think Jimena whispers this, not necessarily to comfort Ophir, but it is technically, but it's more for herself. It's like, don't worry, I will protect you.
He squeezes her hand and nods. I'll try and protect you too.
West. Heading in.
Absolutely.
Reach your hands towards it. And this time it is much more soothing and comfortable as you move through it. It's almost as though someone is gently think of the way if you've ever like just floated in a pool or ever been like in like a hot tub or a sauna, or the way that a sauna just kind of envelops your body over time and you feel that like relaxation just untense all the muscles. You feel that breath you've been holding in, the tightness in your shoulders, the like if you've been like tightening your teeth or anything, all of it just slips and fades away. And you land all standing in a beautiful realm that I go back to this aesthetic often, but it's because it's one of my favorite aesthetics from the first time I saw it. For anyone who's ever seen the movie Moonlight, uh, there is this constant, like very water and moon kind of tinge to the lighting. It is like purest moonlight dipped in hues of deep purples and blacks, white and blue. And the whole realm, it's like someone put a filter over the entire realm, but in contrast to a lot of the harshness of different points before, there's something tranquil about all of it. Yes, it is. That is the correct lighting, Mirage. It is that tinge, except think closer to the kind of deep. This is a hard comparison, but like think there's I'm thinking about Lupita Nyong'o's like particular skin and different lightings, but more of like cooler tones. Thinking kind of more closer to like magenta kind and cooler like tones as opposed to like a lot of the warmth and high cheekbone kind of hues that she has. Think closer to that, so more cool toned. But once again, you see this individual, this raven dressed woman, who now in this realm has a pair of massive raven wings on her back. And she greets you all.
You see Ren's neck just kind of smile at the lady and look like a crane around the ground, like looking for any loose feathers, but doesn't do or say anything. Just the neck just goes.
There are a few that land in your hand, Ren. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Twilight Marsh. My name is Zyla. I am, for all intents and purposes, here, the goddess of death, fate, and transition. And I welcome you to my realm. And that is where we're going to close the session for today.
Fair.
Woo!
You've met another god.
Wahoo!
It's my campaign, so this is pretty par for the course that you meet God at some point.
Fuck yeah.
And as is also par for the course with my gods, all of them are hot. Or
Yeah, I gotta
terrifying,
catch 'em
or
all.
both. Because
Terrifyingly hot.
yes, this is
Hotly terrifying.
hotly terrifying, terrifyingly hot. Whatever combinations of said words you would like to use. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in for this. It has been an absolute pleasure to have the folks who've coming in. We had a raid at one point. My players finally embraced even more gay than I thought was possible for their current convictions and such. And so we're going to move into our outro section. So I'm going to get all of the like channel announcement stuff out of the way and then give folks their time to plug themselves. And I'll plug a couple other things coming up, and then we will head on out. So first off, this week, I believe we have our own MoCats, our own Chief Financial Officer for Girls Run These Worlds, going to be guesting over on Community Cleric on Thursday with our own fantastic CEO, Sarah, 7 p.m. EST. Interview show. I got to be on there last week. Sarah is an absolute joy to be interviewed by. I got a list of people who I consider like my favorites in the world to get to talk with. Ida is one of them. Sarah is one of them. There's like a couple of other people. Yeah. Sometimes I just say these things just to get Ida to do that face, because that's one of my favorite little expressions she does. It's like a small little dino. But we have that coming up on Friday at 2 p.m. EST. You can catch me again over on Ballad of Conjurers, where we are at the finale. We are going to go punch a pissed off archangel of life in the face, and I'm going to become a deity of life as a phoenix, which is truly the only thing I actually aspire to accomplish with my life in fantasy or real life. If I get to become a burb in some way, shape, or form, especially with fire, life will be complete. But we have that coming up. Fire as a Sharn, 8 p.m. EST on Saturday, and we have Liminal Horror, 11 a.m. EST on Sunday. So, if you're interested in telling stories similar to this or way wackier, even way gayer, which our channel is extremely gay, so but we can always use more of it because the queerometer does deplete every now and then, and you got to refuel that stuff fast. Uh, Check out our creator app. It's over on girlsruntheseworlds.com. You can find more on that website or consider supporting the fantastic cast members here and in other places through our Ko-fi or through being followers or just following us on Twitch, Twitter, Insta, and YouTube. Throw a subscription, renew your free Prime sub. Just if you want stories like these to be told outside of just, doing the usual, like, we should support marginalized creators, actually support marginalized creators with money and time and skill training and resources and just, commissioning them, like our fantastic artists who exist in our community, the writers who love to be part of projects, the folks who are doing shorts making and doing editing for on the production end to hype up shows. So much labor goes into making this kind of thing happen. I think at last count, for each show we do from pre-production to end, it's about 150 steps to actually get everything done. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into these shows, and it is absolutely worth it, but we could always use more support financially, time, views, anything you can give us, folks. So, with that being the case, I'm going to let the cast detail one or two things that they're going to be out with, that they're currently involved with, and then we will see what happens in terms of if you have a rate target or not. But I'm going to start off with how we started again. Let's go with our own fantastic artist, and one of my faves is Altamirage. Go.
Hello, I am Altamirage. You can find me almost anywhere at Altamirage or Altamirage Art. I am an artiste, just like my sad boy, and you can always commission me to draw your tabletop character if you so want. I play Sad Boy Ophir, and right now I believe we have premiering on the YouTube channel. I have the High Ground, which my session is actively premiering right now, and then we have a few others coming after that, so highly recommend checking that out. It is so fun. They include a lead up to a dance battle, which is mine. There is I think a wizard battle, there's a clown battle, there's a bake-off. Highly recommend you check it out. It's so good. But that's it for me. Mwah.
Fantastic. Gonna move it on over to the incomparable, the amazing, this is a wonderful DK.
Hi, hello. I am still DK, at least for this portion of the day. I have been Quest, and we are both continuing our path to make just the worst choices possible. You can find me when I'm not here. You can find me here again later for Roll for Luck. And then also over at Exquisite Corpse Presents. There's a bunch of stuff that I can't announce yet, but August is going to be really exciting. And I don't know, maybe head over on August 25th at 4 p.m. to see myself and Ava from Girls Run These Worlds in something very special for our collective birthday.
We love that. We love DK. We love Ava, two of our resident greats in this channel, but also a newcomers to this channel. We're gonna who have been absolutely nothing but amazing. We're gonna start with the amazing and wonderful Gina. You might want to unmute.
Yes, sorry. It's just so many muting going on. Hi, I'm Gina. I played Antonia. You can find me here and only here. I have nothing else going on. You can change that if you want. You can also find me on Twitter for as long as Twitter continues to exist, question mark, at _Jonathan, where if something does happen that I'm in, it will be there. Yeah.
Fantastic. We're passing it on over to one of my favorite sisters and amazing people, fantastic producer who's been with us for this entire time. Go, Aida.
Hello, it's me. I am also working to jump the sinking bird ship. It's no longer a bird, it's really sad. Fuck Musk. Anyway, you can find me at Horde of Tales. Tomorrow I'm going to be playing Dragon Dowser, which is Hatchling Games' latest solo TTRPG, Ghibli-esque game where we're going to go save a dragon egg and hopefully going to hatch a baby dragon and treat it with love and raise it and save it from bad people. Bad people. That's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. British Summer Time. And some developments are happening at Horde of Tales, happy good things, and announcements when I'm allowed to give them. And happy to be here, and I'm happy the gremlins stayed away.
Evil tech gremlins, shoot. But the one who we do not want to shoot away is our own amazing Diana Moon. Please tell us where we can find you.
You only want to stab. Hola, I am Diana Moon online. I use she, her pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at Diana Moon or Twitch and YouTube at xDianaMoonX. You'll find me next, provided there's no random things that happens in people's lives. On Sunday, 6 p.m. PST on Nerdgasm Noir. That's where the Reclaimers are. We are playing the OG Apocalypse world, where I play a driver who has a tuk-tuk. It's all speed, no control. Like my character.
And last but not least, hello there, lovelies. My name is Angela Lemos Moruvejo. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a resident GM here over at Girls Run These Worlds, where I will be trying to run some things in a few months again. I'm probably going to take a break from being here on this channel to take care of some back-end safety things and such, but perhaps stay tuned for some things over in October or what have you. We might have some plans going on there. And you can find me Friday here for the end of Ballad of Conjurers. I am so excited to finish that off. It has been a remarkably touching story for what feels like a lot of jokes and such that have been happening of a variously illicit nature. But I want to just say thank you to everyone who's been giving us some time. And if you have the chance right now to go and support us, go over to YouTube to watch I Have the High Ground. We currently have the dance battle going on right now.
Link in the chat.
Yes, I will put the link in the chat.
I just did. It's there.
Oh, there we go. There we go. There was the link. So, folks, we are going to head out and do our whole, like, calm down and everything. But go support the many people who've been involved with I Have the High Ground. Not just Mirage and Michelle, who are doing the dance battle one right now. We have a pair of clowns with absurdity. We have magicians. We have, for those of you who are Spy X Family fans, me and Laleon Cosplay / Anya, we are doing X-Spy Lovers version of I Have the High Ground. That is just us talking in theater code in order to avoid giving out that we are spies at a PTA meeting. Just think about this.
I want it.
If it's already pulling you in,
so good.
Go support everyone. Go give some love. Thank you for showing us some love and share it with everyone else. Take care, everybody, and we wish you well. Stay safe. Keep up with your meds, and know that times are tough. We're gonna pull through, everybody. We're gonna be all right. Take care, everybody.